Hi, Gary. I hope you're doing great. Thank you for your time today. First of all, I wanted to congratulate you for a great success Arcion is having. Recent funding round. The team at Intuitive Cloud and Intuitive VC is super excited and happy. And especially being an early investor, we are very happy with the progress that Arcion has made. Not only that, I'm also hearing great feedback from a number of customers who have adopted Arcion Labs from Intuitive's 100 plus enterprise customers. So today what I wanted to do, Gary, just for ease of access to information, I wanted to do a quick 3-minute or so conversation about why Arcion and what Arcion and how Arcion, right? So let me start with what I would call rapid fire, right?
Okay.
So what is Arcion and why customers would want to use Arcion Labs as a platform?
Yeah, so Arcion is real-time data migration and replication. So think taking things out of like these enterprise data stores like Oracle or whatnot, and moving them to other places. Could be a data warehouse, could be another database, whatever. But the trick is we do it in real time, and we do it in the fastest way possible.
Gary, what specific use cases are Arcion's really good for, right? So including some of our customers that we've implemented Arcion for, what are the most popular use cases that you are seeing?
The use cases are almost infinite on what people are doing with us, but what I would say is the main use cases that people use us for today are kind of real-time machine learning or AI. Data analytics is something that shows up very frequently. Heterogeneous replication. So think if you've got Mongo and I'm moving it to something relational, we do that super well. And then there's a lot of people who do real-time database migrations, right? So I'm going to move off an old system onto a new system. I want to keep them in tandem for an extended period of time while I build up the new modern database. So those are things that are very common, but again, there's 1,000 other things that people are using this for.
How and where Arcion is deployed? Again, we've used Arcion for a lot of cloud use cases, but there are customers, as you know, they still use on-prem infrastructure, and some of them will stay hybrid for long term. So is Arcion deployable for on-prem and cloud?
Yep, we have a super flexible deployment model. You can put it on your hardware, you can put it in your VPC, or you can leave the management to us on Arcion Cloud, and we're happy to do it as well. So super easy and flexible.
How is it making engineers and technologists' life easier?
Yeah, well, so basically Arcion is a no-code sort of solution. And basically what that means is engineers don't need to spend their time building the data pipelines. They can spend their time problem solving, building new functionality, or actually just innovating, right? And so that's a key feature of what we do, which is to take the burden of building pipelines off their backs.
Now, since we're talking about engineers, right? A lot of smart engineers would always tell me, well, Jay, you know what? We can do what Arcion is doing using any open source platform and can do some development on our own. What would you answer to them for Arcion over open source platforms?
Yeah, well, so open source for CDC is going to be Debezium. And basically the solution there is the reason why you'd pick us over something like Debezium is the fact that it's going to cost you probably a decent amount of money to build the pipe and maintain the pipe because it's all JDBC based, right? It doesn't scale. It's a single threaded sort of solution. It does not have the high availability that we have built in. And frankly, it only accesses certain databases like Oracle and others in a very specific way. And one of those ways is actually going to wind up going away here pretty shortly. So there's a lot of downfalls with using the open source stuff. And I think we solve all of them very handily.
What does Arcion do special that we need to stop using what you're using and go to the platform like that?
Well, so aside from batch being a pretty sloppy way to transfer data from one system to another, what Arcion does by using CDC is it only sends the incremental updates, right? So that basically means that it's a very cost-effective solution as well. Your compute bill is going to be lower, your transport cost is going to be lower, and you get the benefit of having data come out of those source systems in real time, so you can do all kinds of new, fun, and interesting things with that data.
I think one of the customers, we were migrating them to AWS, right? Their on-prem databases to AWS, and we sort of exhausted all the cloud native options for the migration platforms or application platforms, and we ended up using Arcion. So that certainly is a great use case or a reason why would you use Arcion. Does Arcion do schema conversion today in the platform?
Yes, sir. It pretty much does it out of the box. So we're one of the only solutions you can take dissimilar schemas and migrate or replicate data together, right? So that's definitely something that comes right out of the box.
What impact does it put on the application when you are actually using the platform on the source side, as well as on the destination side? And then the second question I would have is, how do you classify, is Arcion a near real time, near zero downtime, or no downtime? How would you classify Arcion as a platform?
So let me answer the first question first, right? Which is how much strain do we put on the source system? The answer is none. Arcion basically reads the transaction logs that sit next to those production systems. So no tax on the system, no security impact on those systems. It's designed to be as low profile as possible. Now, when you ask about the time it takes to do that, so some of this is dependent on the hardware that you put up, but if you put the hardware in place that's appropriate for the systems and size of data you're moving, it's almost always going to be less than a second. And it's probably going to be faster than most of the systems that can consume the data will actually be able to consume it.
Let's talk about a couple of quick use cases. One is the one-time migration. You mentioned the migration use case, but then there's replication and other use cases. How do you price this platform?
So everything is priced based on the number of cores. If you're going to self-host it or self-manage it, or if you're going to ask us to do it, it's priced on the number of CPU units that the dedicated instance we will provision for you will use. And it's 100% usage based. There's no surprises here. You'll see exactly how much you're doing, and we'll help you figure out what the right size of the system you need is, right? So that's basically how we price it.
One of the key things, right, for any bleeding edge technology startup or products, right, we always want to make sure that there is a product market fit, and we are, leveraging the solution for right use cases, right scenario, right size, right type customer.
Yep.
What's the typical, what is your sweet spot as Arcion? As again, we've worked together on banking, financial services, and healthcare customers, as well as a couple of large ISVs that we are talking to. But what do you consider as the perfect use case and perfect type of customer that Arcion's best adopted?
Yeah, well, as you will attest from the customers that you've worked with us on, we generally run the larger sorts of enterprise customers. Now, it won't necessarily always be that way, but probably for the next year or two, we're talking about the large banks, large electronic companies, large retailers, all of that sort of stuff. And including in our customer base right now, we've got multiple top 10 banks. We've got one of the largest electronics manufacturers in the world. We've got a number of very large retailers. There's actually, curiously enough, some technology companies, all of whom you've heard. And those are definitely the class of customer that we're serving today. So basically, think about it this way. Anybody who runs enterprise data systems at scale is going to benefit from Arcion.
In multi-cloud, right? Why Arcion for multi-cloud customers? As you know, every major enterprise today, they may have one primary cloud, but they're all exploring, secondary cloud for a variety of use cases, right? So customers may have one primary cloud, they may be going to another cloud for data and AI/ML, or another cloud for general purpose computing, another cloud for databases. In those type of scenarios, what's the beauty or the value that Arcion brings to the table?
Well, you actually need a technology like Arcion in the multi-cloud sort of environment, because what you really want to do is make data available to whatever platform or whatever user needs that data. And you want to get it there in as real a time as possible. So when you have different things distributed across a variety of different platforms, you need a solution such as Arcion, which gives you that very easy to connect sort of technology, so that you can turn that data and basically make it a service that you can consume wherever you need it to be.